Constantinople, a city blessed with a beautiful and strategic location. The Black Sea on one side and the Mediterranean on the other. Straddling the Bosphorus River, it connects Europe and Asia. Early Greek settlers arrived and named the port Byzantium in 537 BC. Septimus Severus, the Roman emperor, captured the city in 196 AD. It prospered, and in 330, Constantine moved the Roman capital there. Renamed Constantinople, for the next 8 centuries, it was the biggest and richest city in all of Europe. The incredible Hagia Sophia remains from those early Roman years. Built in 537 during the reign of Justinian, it was the world's largest cathedral for 1,000 years. It was converted to a mosque by the Ottomans in 1453, and all evidence of its Christian origins were painted and plastered over. But it was made into a museum in 1931, and some of its original mosaics were uncovered. Here's the wishing column. Stick in your thumb, and if you can rotate your hand 360 degrees, your wishes will come true. Lala did it with ease. Nearby, you can visit the Roman underground Basilica cistern. Built in 532, it was one of several hundred that ensured a steady supply of fresh water for the city. Several Medusa heads of unknown origin help support the ceiling. The so-called hen's eye column, with eyes shedding tears, supposedly was made to commemorate the many slaves that died during the cistern's construction. The last of the monumental relics of the Roman period are the remains of the great walls of Theodosius. Walls had been built around the city several times before when Theodosius commissioned his great walls in the 5th century. 60 feet high and several walls deep, with moats and towers, the massive defensive structures kept the city safe from invaders for 1,000 years. Some smaller monuments remain on the site of the vanished hippodrome. The obelisk of Theodosius was first erected in Luxor, Egypt in 1450 BC, moved to Alexandria, and later brought to Constantinople. It stands on a pedestal showing Theodosius awarding a prize to the winner of a chariot race. The column of Constantine had a statue of him on the top, but he fell off in a storm in 1106. The serpent column was taken from Delphi in Greece. It was originally topped with 3 snake heads supporting a golden tripod and cauldron, which celebrated the Greek victory over the Persians in 480 BC. Our hotel, the Four Seasons Sultanate. It stands on a hill that was once the center of old Constantinople. The landmarks are all within walking distance. Strolling around is big fun. The Turks love food. For the Westerner, there's lots of intriguing things to sample. Lavis puff bread. Testy kebab, baked in a clay jar.
There you go. Oh boy.
And opened dramatically at the table.
Thank you very much.
Sir, is your meal.
Thank you very much, sir.
Thank you.
The Topkapi Fish District. We found a great little seafood place near the hotel. Expensive, but it was worth it.
And fish marine, and octopus, and shrimps with mix.
The Grillmeister. Oil the grill. Salt the fish. Dip it in olive oil. Cook over a low heat. Perfection. In 1453, the Ottoman Turks, with overwhelming numbers, attacked and breached Theodosius's wall, defeating an undermanned and discouraged group of defenders. This brought an end to the Byzantine Empire after 1,000 years. The Ottomans destroyed a large part of the old city to build Topkapi, palace to the sultans, for 4 centuries. You can visit. A lot of walking. There's gaudy Beverly Hills-style decor. Relics of questionable origin. Mohammed's sword, doubtful. The hundreds of rooms housed wives, concubines, and children, as well as those for state functions. We headed to the Grand Bazaar through crowded streets. Lots of shops on the way. And then the Grand Bazaar itself. Begun by the Ottomans in 1455, it covers 61 streets and 4,000 shops. Considered one of the world's first shopping malls, hundreds of thousands of people visit daily. Last trip, I bought a beautiful embroidered bed cover off the wall of one of the shops. The best thing the Ottomans left behind is the magnificent Blue Mosque, the jewel of Istanbul. Built in 1610, it's one of the world's most beautiful buildings. Our visit to Istanbul was drawing to a close. We were off the Cappadocia. I've always been intrigued by pictures of Cappadocia, and I was eager to visit. The strange-looking conical hills are called fairy chimneys, and had been formed over millions of years by the erosion of the softer tuff or volcanic ash underneath harder basalt top rocks. The tuff is relatively easy to carve, and since about 800 BC, people have dug caves and tunnels into the material. With building supplies scarce, locals merely carved out their homes in the tuff, but eventually the front walls would erode away. We stayed in a motel constructed in this manner. The rugged terrain and deep valleys provided an ideal refuge to escape and defend against various invaders, and in Cappadocia there's been plenty. Originally a part of the Hittite Empire, the area has been ruled by Greeks, Persians, Romans, Goths, Seljuk Turks, and the Ottomans, among others. To protect themselves, the Cappadocians began building cities underground. You can visit, but even a partial descent is claustrophobic in the extreme. They're comprised of a maze of tunnels and chambers. The largest of these were 20 stories deep. Down below they had water, food storage rooms, and they even brought their animal herds down to safety. The entrance could be blocked by rolling a great stone wheel to seal it off. Escape tunnels allowed the inhabitants to exit through openings miles away, El Chapo style. Christians began coming to Cappadocia as early as the 4th century and began building churches in the caves. A dinner table and benches, burials. In the 9th and 10th centuries, they painted the interiors of their churches with wonderful, colorful frescoes. There was a Christian presence here until they were expelled in 1925. This beautiful old Christian house had been converted into a restaurant. We headed south to Antalya, Turkey's famous seaside resort. It's on the Turkish Riviera. We drove westward along the Mediterranean, a beautiful and interesting drive. was a wonderful color. The Turquoise Coast. A visit to Ephesus on the west coast. The famous Roman library once held 12,000 scrolls. The Grand Theater had a seating capacity of 25,000 people, the largest in the ancient world. Ephesus was an important port. On the pavement, a sign for disembarking sailors. Welcome, turn left to the whorehouse. The bigwigs sent their slaves to warm the seats in the morning. They parlayed on the shitter. A last drink in Istanbul.